welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Appreciate your patience here this morning as we are here where sports meets life. Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York, I should say here, right in the central New York area. Make sure you make your way out to Great Lakes Honda City today, open Monday through Saturday for your enjoyment, and they have all different shapes and size vehicles, new and used cars. You'll find the Civic, the Accord, the Prologue, the CRV, the HRV, the wonderful, my dad loves the Ridgeline, the Pilot, and more, all by going to Great Lakes Honda City. That's Great Lakes Honda City, and you can find out more information by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. With that being said, inside of Mom and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin', giving you the list of topics for the day. We'll start things off with the annoying moment of the week. Then we'll jump into Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. The annoying moment of the week brought to you by Carvel DeWitt. Lead brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero. Then brought to you by Canine Kamp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. At the top of the second hour, I will announce my top dog of the week. And then we'll get into Syracuse football, the East-West Shrine game. I was excited for it. You're hearing about all these things, Kyle McCord, Aronde Gadsden, what's going to go on in the East-West Shrine game, and then you get to the game and no Kyle McCord. And you don't see Aronde Gadsden. But Jackson Meeks had some time out there. So we'll talk about those Syracuse prospects heading forward into the 2025 NFL Draft, including center Josh Alawa. So there are some players out there. You have tight end, wide receiver hybrid, Aronde Gadsden the second. You have Jackson Meeks at wide receiver. You have Josh Alawa at center, offensive line. You have Kyle McCord at quarterback. You have Elijah Clark at safety. So you got some guys out there heading to the 2025 NFL Draft via Syracuse. So we'll talk about that coming up in hour number 2. A lot of great stuff here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. It is time to jump right in the annoying moment of the week.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The annoying moment of the week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so. The annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Man, I was thinking about this last night, and I'm like, I could do this, I could do that, but there's a couple that just stick out to me when I was at the doctor's office yesterday taking care of an injury that I had from a while back. So I'm at the doctor's office, and they're having me sign in. Now, I'd been there before. I'm not a new patient. I'd been there before. And this was like a bone and joint center. This wasn't like I'm sick, I have a cold. That's important to know when I tell this story. So I'm at this like bone and joint center. I go up to the lady, and she says, hi, and tell me your name and this and that. And I tell her, and she puts a form together as if I had never been there before. It's like, when was the date of your injury? Writing down all this basic information about me instead of having it in the computer, because I filled out stuff before. So it's like, fill this stuff out again. And I was like, all right, bet money. Sounds good. So I fill out this stuff thinking to myself, don't they know me? I was here a few weeks ago. I did the whole new patient thing. I filled out the new patient stuff. What's the point of filling it out last time if I'm filling it out all over again? So I fill it out. I do what I got to do. And I hand it back to her. Or I'm sorry. This is when she was putting it all together. So I hadn't filled it out yet. So she's putting that stuff together. And she hands me that form to fill out. And I'm looking at this form going like, okay, this seems like a basic form of something that I had filled out already. Then she hands me another form. Hey, this comes to you. So the injury that I have came from where I was working. So she's like, hey, if they decide not to pay this, we're going to hand you a form and she's like, this form states that she had filled everything out. She's like, I just need your signature to state that if they who are supposed to pay for it decide that they don't want to pay for it, we can just bill you directly. And I'm the son of a lawyer. I said, you take that right back to yourself. Ain't nobody signing that here today. And she went, oh, okay. And she's like, you're not going to sign it? And I was like, no. She's like, all right. And she took it back without like any conversation, almost like she knew it was the wrong thing to do. It was almost like most people say no to this, or it was just interesting how she took it back so fast. She's like, are you not going to sign it? I said, nope. She's like, all right. There was like no fight on it. It's kind of like when you go to rent a car and somebody asks you, do you want to get the insurance on the car? And you have car insurance, and they're like, yeah, that car insurance doesn't count. And you're like, the heck it don't. I have car insurance. They're like, yeah, but you don't have this car insurance. And it's all to upsell you, right? You go there. Do you want to get the prepaid thing for the gas? No. Do you want to get the thing for the Easy Pass? No. Do you want to get the, it's, you know, you got to go through the whole thing with them. No, no, no. So I just usually am like, yo, I rent cars all the time. I'm not trying to be here. Like, I got a meeting to go to. I got things I got to do. You know, I'm not fitting a, you know, I've been standing in this line, hopefully not that long. Sometimes I was standing in a line that was like 2 hours. Like my plane landed at 11 o'clock. I don't get back to my hotel till 2 a.m. because they only have 2 people working the entire desk for all of these people at a major airport for this car company. So people go back to work. Go back to work. And I told people this years ago, I warned people of this. I said, those of you that don't care that people aren't working, it's going to affect you too. You're going to be like, let them stay at home, live your life. You don't got to work. Do you, boo? If you get free money, take the free money. Money ain't free, baby. Money ain't free. And I said, eventually, the people that are staying at home, doing nothing, collecting a paycheck, not going to work at the car rental place, not going to work at the airport, eventually, not going to work at the restaurants at the airport, eventually, that's going to catch up. So you might be sitting here like, I don't have to work, who cares? And then that person who's not working goes to the movie theater, ain't nobody there to take their ticket. And then that person goes to rent a car, and they're standing in the same line that I'm standing in. And now all of a sudden, it's a hassle for you, so now we got to pay attention. See, when you don't work, eventually that comes back on you. You think it's only going to hit me, that you're not working, so now I got to deal with waiting in this long line? Hey, you got to wait in the line with me now. You got to wait in the line with me. Because you're eventually going to go somewhere where it's going to have people that aren't working like you. And it's going to be a hassle for you. You go to a restaurant now, whole section open. You can't sit there. We don't have enough workers. I went to one restaurant with my mom multiple times. There was one person working. There was one person I saw as a server, maybe one, maybe 2 at times. They're the host, and they serve the entire dining room. Back when I was a server, we could only have 3 tables, I think 4 at max. And if we had a table of 8 or more people, we had to split it with somebody. In order to administer to the table fairly and equally, they didn't want to give us more than 3 or 4 tables so that we could actually make sure that we were servicing these tables and not just half doing it so that we can make as much money as possible. The restaurant was like, hey, 4 tables, that's what you get. Now, could some of us handle more? I'm sure we could. But it was like, y'all get 4 tables. This is your section. So that you can be there with these people. So you don't have people asking for a glass of water 62 times. But you know what I mean? It's like you go in places now during this COVID time, during this free money time that some people got. And people had it planted in their head, well, if I don't have to work for money, then I ain't got to work for money. If I don't have to do it now, I don't have to do it ever. And now you got people saying, go back to work. And they're like, go back to work? You gave me money for sitting at home. Why am I going to go back to work? If you're able, you should work. There's people that can't do certain things that want to do it. You go to places, you see somebody in a wheelchair has no legs, and they're working their tail off, having fun, helping people, going above and beyond. And you're sitting at home with your legs, with your whole body, capable of doing it. And you're just sitting there watching TV because the government told you you don't have to go to work. And eventually that comes back and affects everybody. I'm a small business owner. I work with small businesses, and I see how that's affected them. I hear the stories. So it's annoying to me. Go to work. Okay? Help people out. Be there for people. But getting back to this person saying to me, Here's a sheet for you to sign. The people that were supposed to bill, that have always been billed, that have always paid this bill for you medically, if they decide not to, I've never seen this thing in all the years that I've been through treatment for the injury. I've never in my life seen a sheet of paper that said this. And she was like, if they decide not to pay you, we can bill you directly. And again, son of a lawyer, I looked right at her. I didn't even think about my words in that moment. I went, you can keep this to yourself. Nobody's signing that today. She was like, oh, okay. And then she said to me, have you traveled? And this is what I can't stand now that since 2020, I cannot stand this. I understand, but at the same time, it feels invasive and it feels like you have to lie in order to get seen by a doctor. Now, again, I'm in a bone and joint center. I'm not in a place where people are supposed to be sick, but keep in mind that, when people are sick these days, they don't even cover their face. We got all this stuff, all these parameters, put a mask on, Lysol this and that. People come in sick, coughing all over everybody. They don't care about nothing. And we wonder why people get sick all the time. So this woman said to me, she said, have you been around someone that has COVID? Have you had COVID? I'm like, no. And I've actually tested recently. I was like, no, I got nothing. And then she said, have you traveled? And I said, yeah. I've been traveling for the college football playoff. I've been all over the place. So I said, yeah, I've been traveling. She goes, where? I said, all over. She said, where to? I'm not telling her all the places. I was like, Atlanta, Texas. And she said, when was the last time? And I was like, January 21st. Then she was silent. Then she took her arm and coughed into her arm. She was like, and I was like, where have you been recently? Do you have COVID? Because I'm sitting here. She got no mask on. This woman asked me, do you have COVID? And where have you traveled to? Have you been outside of the area? And then proceeded to hack into her arm with no mask on. Didn't Lysol anything, didn't wipe anything off. After she hacked into her arm, kept typing on the computer, kept touching the paper she was giving to me. How ironic and annoying of a moment is that for someone to ask you, have you traveled outside of the area? Have you traveled recently? Do you have COVID? And then hacks into her arm, does not clean herself, and proceeds to touch all my stuff. So you best believe I was using my own pen. Couldn't use my own clipboard, but I was using my own pen. And I always do that. So, yeah, that's annoying. Do you want to pay? The company that's supposed to pay for all of this stuff, if they decide that they just don't want to pay, can I have your signature that authorizes us to send you all the bills that we typically send them? Are you nuts? No. Because I know what would have happened. They would have alerted them and said he signed, and then that company would have been like, well, then send them all the stuff. Then I would have gotten all the bills. Then I would have had to fight to give it back to them, but then it would have been on my account, take forever to get off my account, send it to their account. No. No. But I feel like this is where we're at in life today. Is people just hand you stuff and they think you're stupid. And going off of that, I have another annoying moment of the week. My dad and I are planning a trip together, right? So we've been planning this trip and we've been wanting to do this thing for a long time. So Pops and I are planning the trip, and I go online and I find a hotel for the trip, but the hotel has two different websites for the same hotel, like same address. And I was like, okay, so one of these might be a shell address. Maybe one of these is coming through like a booking.com or something like that. Like there's got to be a rhyme or reason. Now, if you're not used to I use the internet every day. I use the internet as my business. I put together my website. So to me, it's like I've written code for stuff before. Like it's in my wheelhouse to be looking through all of this stuff. And I think about it like, thank God that the Lord has exposed me to this stuff so that I can kind of question things that don't make sense. But what about my dad? My dad goes on a website. He's not doing this every single day, right? He's not doing this stuff. So, I mean, that to me is something where, I feel bad, but like my dad might be looking at this thing and not knowing the difference. My mom might not be knowing the difference. I know my grandmother used to get phone calls at her house and she didn't know if somebody was trying to scam or mess with her. She's just a sweet woman that's answering the phone that's just being nice to everybody. So, somebody asking her for money and this and that and saying, oh, we're from this. I mean, if my grandmother was alive right now, my mom's mom, my G mama, I just wonder, like, with all the phone calls you get and all the ridiculousness you get, how many people would call my grandmother, try and take advantage of my grandma. And that's sick to me. That's sick. But there are people out there that are sick in the head. And so, and I don't mean mental illness. I mean, there's people out there that are willing to hurt people. And apparently they don't listen to that conscience thing that we have. And so I'm on the phone yesterday. I called this guy and I was like, do you speak English? And then he started speaking English. I said, all right, so we're trying to get this room. I'm having an issue online. We need 2 double beds, or like we need 2 beds. It's saying that I can get 2 beds, but it's not allowing me to click on it. So I just want to make sure we can get 2 beds in the room. Yes, sir, I can help you with that. Okay. So we go through the whole thing. He gives me a price. The price is better than the internet price. I'm like, oh, sweet. Price is better than the internet price. Good stuff. It's the first time I ever called a number in Italy. So I said to the guy, I said, all right, before I book it, let me talk to my family. I'll call you back. So I hang up the phone. And then my dad and I talk about it. He's like, yeah, give him a call. So I call him back. I call him back like a few minutes later. And I call him back, and it's a different guy. Guy sounds like he's from a different country than Italy. And he doesn't really speak English. And I was like, okay, well, I called someone before. And he's like, okay, wait 5 minutes with me for him to come back. And then you just like kind of hear the phone just kind of sitting there, and you're waiting. And then the guy picks up the phone, and I can't tell if this was the same guy that I talked to before, because he sounded like far away on the phone, and it was kind of hard to understand. So I said, I called before. I'm trying to make this reservation, da-da-da. And he was like, yeah. He said, call me tomorrow. He said, give me your email now. Call me tomorrow. I'm leaving. My shift is over. And I was like, that's weird. Like, if your shift was about to end, but somebody was making a reservation, like, I wouldn't pass that up. And then they kind of made it sound like it was a commission thing, because it was like, well, he's the one that you talk to, so he's the one that gets the reservation. And I'm like, this is weird. And so he was like, call me tomorrow. He's like, my shift is over. Give me your email and call me tomorrow. I can't do it now. I'm leaving. And I was like, okay. And he said, all right, so give me your credit card. And I hung up. What idiot would do that? But we live in a world where some people, I don't want to say what idiot would do that, because that's not fair. Some people are very, very trusting. And I grew up, like I'm out here just thinking like, everybody can be, everyone's going to be a good person and da-da-da. And so I think it's important in life to learn the lesson of don't stop trusting people, but just be careful. And so going through those 2 annoying moments, both yesterday, I was just sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, this is wild. Like, do people actually do this stuff? Like, does somebody actually, like, give you their credit card number when you say, I'm walking out the door, I'll call you tomorrow? Just go ahead and give me your credit card. Let me go ahead and not do that. But, if you're like, oh, maybe that's Italian policy, or you're just really excited, or you're trying to do something before your wife gets home and you're going to surprise her. Maybe you do this and then you have no idea where your credit card went. So, I just think things like that, it just throws you off. But see, I've learned, and this is why when you complain about things that happen in your life, God, why'd you make me go through that? God, why'd you make that happen to me? I can't believe I'm a good person. Why'd some bad stuff happen? I think that God allows adversity in our life so we can learn the lessons that we wouldn't learn without adversity. Let me say that again. I think that God allows adversity in our life so that we can learn things that we wouldn't have learned without adversity. And if I had not been lied to, if I had not had, people seemingly be unsavory, scamming and whatnot, maybe I would hear that and go, hey, Dad, he just said give the credit card now and we'll all be good. But see, I learned that that's wild. I also learned that it's wild to ask someone if they have COVID and be concerned that they've been outside of the state when you're coughing all over your arm and touching all of my stuff and you're not wearing a mask and you did not clean yourself. You did not Lysol anything. You did not do anything. And the way that she coughed, it's like, so obviously You're the one that I should be asking the question. And as soon as she did that, my head was like, do you have COVID? Have you traveled outside of the area? Because you asked me these questions and I'm coming up to you, calm as a cucumber, just wanting to get this thing over and done with. And you're coughing all over the place. And I feel bad that you're coughing. And I want you to feel better. But you're giving me the 12th degree when you're out here coughing like you're sick. And you're coughing in my direction. So then I sit down at the Bone and Joint Center and there's people coughing all over the place. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this is a doctor's office, but it's not that doctor's office. It's not that I got a cold doctor's office. All these people coughing. And I'm thinking, why do you think people get sick? You go out in public in places of herds, right? When you go to a doctor's office of any kind, you're sitting in a waiting room and you're sitting around people. And if it's busy, it's like a bunch of cattle just standing on a field together. If one of those cows is sick, guess what? There's a chance another cow is going to get sick and another cow is going to get sick. So I'm sitting there in that room thinking I got to hold my breath, but I'm like, I just got over being sick. I had antibiotics. I've been taking medicine. So hopefully this stuff won't affect me. But that to me, it is such an annoying thing in society. It is such an annoying thing because even like when I was trying to get over being sick and I went down to the college football playoff national championship, I'm sitting on the bus with the media. And you got guys coughing on that bus. Nobody's wearing a mask. And you got people coughing on this bus where you're like, that dude's sick, that dude's sick, that dude's sick. Just don't touch me. And you're in this closed atmosphere. And the media is notorious for traveling sick. Notorious for going to games sick. When I don't feel good, like, there was this season, one of the games I didn't feel good, and I was just like, I'm not coming. I'm trying to get over this. Like, I'm not coming. And, to me, if I was really sick, like going through this and having to travel and then trying to get better in between, if I was going down to the college football playoff national championship and I was like hacking and stuff, I'd be thinking to myself, okay, do I go down a day later? Do I try to sleep a little bit more? And if I was coughing, I'd be wearing a mask because I know how much I want to be somewhere, so I understand, especially like with the media and whatnot. Like, yeah, I'm sick, I don't feel good, but I want to be here. But I also think about if you're going to put yourself in a place and you're not feeling that well, put a mask on. Have hand sanitizer with you. Do something to show me that as much as you want to be there, you still care about the rest of humanity. Have a heart. Just have a heart. And I feel like, and I'm looking around, these people are coughing and they're just looking at their phone. They're not even covering their face. Cough, look at the phone, cough, look at the phone, cough, look at the phone. And I'm like, yo, there's 60 other people on this bus with you, man. Put something over your face. If I was coughing, I'd be putting a scarf over my face. I'd be blocking it. The last thing I want to do when I feel crappy is to make somebody else feel crappy. The only thing I want to spread is love. I do not want to, like, if I feel miserable, I do not want, like, when I actually had COVID years ago, I had to think about everybody I had been around and then send them and then, like, be like, okay, hey, just so you know, I found out I had COVID. I was with you on Monday. I was with you on Tuesday, da. As far as I know, nobody I was around got it. Nobody, not family, not friends, work, nothing. And I'm grateful for that. Because that's important to me. It's not all about me. Because, yeah, I want to go to events. And, yeah, I want to make sure I'm at everything. And I've gone to things when I'm not feeling 100%. But I'm thinking about other people. There was an event I went to when I was getting over COVID and I tested negative. But I was still kind of feeling it. And one of the days I was out of town, I went to go to the event. I stood up. And my body was like, I don't even want to take 12 steps. I don't even want to take 12 steps forward. So I got up. I went down to the corner store. I got myself food for the day. I went back to my room and I stayed in my room. I didn't go to any of the events. I didn't go to any of the games. I stayed where I was. And it's hard. It's hard, because that's what my mom said. She's like, all right, you don't like people traveling when they're sick, but, if you're under the weather, what are you going to do? And I'm going to travel to the best of my ability, but I'm going to think about other people because I don't want to be a hypocrite, be like, well, I don't want them to travel. Here I am traveling. But how am I traveling? I'm traveling with a mask on. I'm traveling with throat lozenges. I'm not going to be coughing all over people. That's not my mind, And if for some reason I cough and do this and that, I'm going to think to myself, okay, should I have a wipe for this? Should I have a wipe for that? Just think about other people. So, annoying moment of the week. Somebody handed me a sheet of paper telling me, hey, the people that are supposed to pay this bill, that have always paid this bill, if they decide not to, you want all the money to get taken from you directly from your account? And I was like, are you a psychopath? Take that paper back to yourself. And then, put that paper down. And so there was that. And then somebody asking if you have COVID while they cough all over themselves. And then having people cough with no mask on, just, out for, and in a bone and joint center where you're not supposed to be there because you have a cold. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're sick, it's like, okay, well, you got to get your injury. I understand. You're sick. You got a hurt knee and you're sick. That sucks. So you got to get one of those better, right? Like, let's go do what we got to do. But, have some compassion. Call them and let them know. Because nowadays, if you call somebody up and say you're not feeling good, I feel like every doctor's office would say, don't come in. But you're worried about me up here and these people coughing all over the place. Apparently, they got through your Fort Knox of questions. How'd they get through them coughing all over here? You're coughing, they're coughing. How'd you get into work today coughing like this? And how these people get in here like this? You're worried about me. So that was one. And two was calling an Italian hotel and having them say, I'm leaving for the day. Give me your credit card and everything will be fine, type of thing. And I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that here. So just people asking questions and then going, think about that. Would you give your credit card to a stranger in a different country while they were leaving work? Does that make sense? And does it make sense to ask someone if they have COVID and if they've traveled while you're coughing and not doing any type of sanitizing after you cough? And as soon as you can, and I know this, I'm like, as soon as like somebody does that, coughs and this and that, or sniffles and rubs their nose, I'm always like, are they going to sanitize before they touch the thing they're going to hand me? I know they're not. I know 99% of the time they're not going to sanitize. But I'm like, maybe this woman will be different. Maybe she'll reach over, say, I'm sorry, and then just, wash her hands off and this and that. See, me, if I coughed all over myself and then I handed you a clipboard and I touched a pen, my brain would be thinking that this person wants to kill me right now because they just saw me cough all over myself and then I handed them something. And then I would feel responsible if they get sick. So think about other people, and common sense should not be uncommon. My ex-wife said this to me, and this is one of the many reasons why I'm glad we're not together. She taught me a lot. Hopefully I taught her a lot. We learned a lot from each other. Hopefully I learned a lot from her. She gave me a lot of great advice. Not a great relationship, but she gave me great advice. There's one thing she said to me that never made sense to me. And this is not to knock her, because anybody that would say this to anybody, it's like, think about what you just said. She said to me, the difference between you and I and you and other people is you think we all have the same common sense. We don't have the same common sense. Everyone has different common sense. And I looked at her and I said, well, then it would be called uncommon sense. And that makes no sense. I'm going to let that sit with you for a minute. We'll be back after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Who's been talking about uncommon sense these days? Crazy.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life.
Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Here inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, it is time for us to get into LEAD. Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver is the acronym here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. LEAD, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero. And today's topic, what we cannot control. And some of it was what I was just talking about. We can't control what other people do. We cannot control that, right? You go into a place. See, here's the thing. So have I been under the weather the last couple of weeks? I have. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. So have I gone out to places? Yeah. Now, if I was coughing all over stuff, I wouldn't be, I would be masked up because I'm not going to be touching produce, coughing on this and that. And I'm also trying to be smart. So if I go somewhere, I'm like, all right, pick out your strawberries. And, those are in a case thing. But if you're going to pick bananas, don't be touching all these bananas. You've been having some sinus stuff. You've been having some pressure here. I think I got something going on, like with my teeth and whatnot. So I said, okay, so let's just be smart. Let's be smart. Let's do what we got to do. So, I don't want to be a hypocrite in that sense, because when I haven't felt good or I haven't felt 100%, did I go places? Yeah. I had medicine. I had throat lozenges. I had water. I bundled up. I had masks if I needed them. I wore masks on the plane. So I try to be smart about that stuff, because if I say I don't want people traveling when they're sick, well, I'm technically still under the weather. I'm still sick. I don't think I'm contagious. I have no idea. But I'm trying to be smart about what I do. I get on the bus. I ain't touching everything. I'm touching my stuff. I touch my bag. So I touch my seatbelt. I'm not touching other people's things. When I touch community things on planes, I try to not touch it with my hand. So when I'm trying to get my table down, I'm trying to not touch it with my skin. I'm trying to not touch the air thing with my skin, or touch that at all if I don't have to. Touch my seatbelt. That's it. Because I don't want to be a hypocrite, right? I want to be smart and say, okay, I'm under the weather. They're under the weather. I'm saying they shouldn't be flying right now. But I have a mask on. They don't. They're coughing all over the place. And thankfully, thanks to God, I'm not. Okay? I don't want to be a hypocrite. And because, some of us are under the weather, or we're getting back to this or getting back to that, but there's just something about coughing and sneezing and doing that stuff where it's like we're putting it out there. We're just putting it out there, and I feel like we should be thinking about other people. I mean, at least that's how I think, is that I should be caring about other people. I should be wondering about other people. Because I do think that. I'm like, and I thought that when that woman coughed all over the plane before I got sick, when I was coming back from San Diego, 4-hour flight, woman coughed all over, no mask on 90% of the time. Then she put the mask on after she coughed all over everything. Then she take the mask off, cough for an hour and a half, drank vodka, and I'm not kidding, she drank vodka, and then put the mask back on. And I'm like, woman, seriously, come on now. Come on now. You just coughed all over everything. And it wasn't a cough. It was a lot of a cough. It was one of those coughs where you're like, she's patient zero. And, and I had a mask on. I had my hoodie. I'm leaning this way. I'm not touching any of her stuff. But she's one seat over from me. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if my immune system is compromised in any way, shape, or form, I could be getting sick today. So I didn't like that she did that. So did I fly when I was feeling under the weather? Yeah. And I took the precautions. Put your mask on. Don't be touching stuff. Ask for Purell wipes. Have napkins. Have things out there. Stay to yourself. If you got a little clear your throat, you got a little cough, you got a little dry throat, have a Ricola. Have your mask on. I didn't keep my mask off that long. So, to me, it's like, I'm not touching other people. I'm not touching other people's stuff. I'm not like coughing or sneezing out in the open type of thing. Like that. I didn't even want to put my napkin that I had blew my nose. I didn't even want, I wrapped it in a wrap, you blow your nose, don't just put it, you blow your nose, you wrap it in another napkin. I didn't even want to put that in the seat back thing. I was like, they're not doing trash right now. I got this. Where do I put it? I don't want to hold it for the whole flight. So I held it for a long time, and then I just put it there, and I'm like, I just take it right back out, and I had wrapped it in another thing, so it wasn't just the tissue I blew my nose in. It was multiple stuff around it. So, because the last thing I want to do is get somebody else sick. That's the last thing I want to do. Sometimes I tell my mom, my dad, I'm sick, and do you want to get dinner a couple nights from now? And they might be fine to go, and I'm just, I'm like, I love you, but I'm still not feeling 100%. I don't want to worry about this and that, because that's the thing. I've gone out on dates before where I was feeling under the weather, and I'm like, man, I know you really want to meet this girl, but come on, you don't feel 100%. You can't kiss this girl goodnight. You can't, you know what I mean? It's you can't be yourself. You want to go, but you're not feeling right. So, that's the thing is have I pushed myself to go to things when I'm under the weather? Yeah. Have I done it because some of the companies I was working with, you feel like you're going to get punished if you don't show up for something? You can never be sick. Nobody can die. Nobody can get married. Nothing can happen if it's on game day. Because if it's on game day, they're threatening you type of thing. I remember one time I won't say who the place was, but I won't say who the place was. And I had COVID. That's when I had COVID. And I'm laying in bed and I'm trying to get better. And I'm trying to get better for a day or two. I'm like, all right, let's see if I can get better. I'm testing and this and that. And I sent them a message right before the game and I said, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. I have COVID. I don't want to be around people and risk getting anybody sick. It's not smart for me to come into an arena with thousands of people when I have COVID. And they didn't say, are you okay? I hope you feel better. God bless. They said, you shouldn't have told me this close to the game. I could have given your seat away. And that's when I look at a fascist dictator and treat them the way that they need to be treated. And I put my phone down and I went to sleep. So, I think there's a lot of things in life we can't control, but there's things that we can control. If there's something we really want to do and it's a once in a lifetime event, then take those precautions. You can only control yourself. You can only control yourself. And that's reality. You can't control anything in your life but yourself. Good morning to Ma. There's nothing else you can control. And, we realize that in life, it just shows itself that there's a lot of things that we simply have no control over. We have no control over how people treat us. We have no control over what people say to us. We have no control over how people want to view us. We have control over what we say and do. We have control over who we choose to be. We have control over the truth of who we are, but we have no control over if someone makes fun of us, if someone takes us out of context, if somebody tries to take advantage of us. We don't have to be stupid for someone to take advantage of us. We don't have to be overly trusting for someone to try and take advantage of us. We just could be a nice person, right? There's certain things you have no control over. There's 67 people that passed away, and a lot of those people had no control over that. And if they had known, they would have jumped out of the plane, they would have done something, but they didn't know. There's things in life that we have no control over on a grandiose scale that is life-threatening, such as that horrible, horrendous, horrific moment. And there's things that you can't control, like going to a grocery store and have somebody coughing and sneezing and then picking out the grapes and putting them back in and licking their fingers. You can only control you. And it's hard in life because there's people in our lives that we love. And they're always unhappy. No matter what you do, they're unhappy. No matter how good of a person you are, they're unhappy. No matter how many times you show up, no matter how many times you do things for them, you always feel like you're failing them. Not that you're a failure, but they perceive that you are. Because they've decided that whatever's going on inside of them, they projected it to you. And instead of dealing with their problems, they put it on you. He's the reason why I'm upset today, I'm sad today, I'm angry today. She's the reason why I can't function today. And I've been around people like that, where there's nothing you can do to get them to be happy. And you feel like no matter how good of a person you try to be, that to this person, you are their punching bag, you are always wrong, you are always failing. You could do everything in your power to try and help them out, build around them, do things around them, work around them, make this happen, bring this over, do this here, but you're never enough for that person. And you sit there and you say to yourself, I love this person so much, but I can't say anything right. I can't do anything right. I can never be enough of this. I can never be not enough of that, or, not any of that. And you feel like no matter what you do, there's no consistency. That when there's a good moment, it's followed by 17 bad moments, and you have no idea what you're doing wrong. They're hypocritical with how they treat you. They put you down. They're constantly beating up on you. And all you do is look at them and say to God, I wish that they could see how much I care and how much I want the good here. How much I want this to be good. You ever been in a relationship like that with your mom, your dad, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your brother, your sister, where you put in so much effort and they just do things and they say things and you're like, man, but I thought we were closer now. I thought we understood each other. I thought we had a conversation about how that hurts me. Why you keep doing that? It's because you can't change people unless they want to change. You can't. Now, that's not me saying that you being good to a person can't affect that person, touch their heart in such a way, touch their mind in such a way that they decide to do better. But they have to decide. What I just say? It's not that you can't change people. You can't change people that don't want to change. What you say and what you do can affect somebody's life right now or for the rest of their lives. But they have to want that change, right? They have to want that change. When you're late and you're late and you're late and you're late, and then one of your friends sits you down, and instead of saying, it's all right, man, he turns around and he says, no, I am mad. I am upset. You shouldn't have done that. That pissed me off. That hurt my feelings. You screwed up my day. You did this to this person. And you're sitting there with tears in your eyes thinking, oh my goodness, I never wanted to be late. I never liked being late. But when he said all that stuff today, it hit me because everybody had been telling me it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's not a big deal. And so I just let myself accept the mediocrity that I was putting out there. And then he puts you in your place and you sit back there and you're like, oh my goodness, I hurt him. I hurt my friend. I better not be late anymore. And that's got to stick with you, but only if you want it to. Only if you want it to. If somebody spills their heart out to you and tells you, you know, this is what hurts me and this is what you're doing that's just breaking me down, and you listen and you hear them and you feel that, and then the next day you go do the same thing, eventually that person's going to turn around and go, you know what? Until you can respect me the way I want to be respected, I'm not coming around. I'm not coming around. And I think people have every right to do that. And I was raised in such a way that I was taught to accept abuse if it came from somebody that was like on a list that you had to listen to. Like you have to listen to your aunt and your uncle, you have to listen to your grandparent, you have to listen. And what I realized as an adult is if it comes from my parents or it comes from a stranger, if it comes from my girlfriend or it comes from an acquaintance, if it ain't healthy, it ain't healthy. And if it is healthy, it's healthy. Sometimes strangers treat you better than family. You know, I was raised that blood is thicker than water. But Jesus is my brother, and I don't think I came from his lineage, right? So, to me, when I look at how people treat me, how they treat other people, that's all that matters to me. How you treat me, how you talk to me, the things you do, that tells me what I need to know. And when you constantly try and you try and you try, and I am a person that does that. I'm a person that if you're a new person and you're wiling out in the beginning, if you're new to my life and it's just bad news bears, then I cut that off real quick. Because you're a new person coming into my life and you're coming in with all types of red flags, stay out. But if you've been in my life and you start planting red flags, I'm like, okay, you know what? We've been around each other for a while. I love you dearly. What are these red flags about? Let's get rid of these. If they keep coming back, they multiply, eventually, I'm not keeping that person in my life. And I feel like this needs to be said on my show today because I'm all about real talk on Wake Up Call and on anything that I do. And I feel like some of us are conditioned in our brains. We've been taught to accept when people hurt us, if it's our family, if it's our spouse, if it's our kids, like we should accept abuse. And I don't think you should ever accept abuse, no matter who it comes from. I don't think you should ever accept mediocrity and people that just treat you poorly. And if you are really hurting, if someone has done something or said something to you that sticks with you so long that it starts to physically manifest itself, that your stress starts to wear your body down, and you tell that person and they shrug their shoulders and keep on doing it, then it's not you that's distancing yourself from them. It's them that's distancing themselves from you. And I had to really realize that in life, is that when you ask someone to stop hurting you and they say no, you're not cutting them out of your life. You ask them to stop hurting you. they said no thank you, either by their actions or literally, or both. And that's no longer your problem. If my mom called me up today and said, hey, I don't want you, you say this word in front of me. I don't like this word. Don't be saying this word in front of me, is disrespectful. Then that would be in my brain. And I would think to myself, if I keep saying that word around my mom's she's going to get upset. Right? If my dad says to me, hey, I asked you to come over and move these rocks. I asked you 3 weeks ago. I don't want to keep asking you to move these rocks. Can you please help me move these rocks? Then I know that that's important. And if I don't help and I don't do this, then, he told me like, hey, I need your help with this, man. So, and maybe that's a bad example because that's a one-time thing in that sense, in a way. But what I'm saying is when somebody says to you, like, okay, so my dad said to me, like, hey, I really don't like seeing you getting stressed out about like this. And then he sees, if my dad said, okay, I don't want to keep talking about the same thing over and over again. Right. So, you're dating this girl. She keep doing the same thing. You keep calling me. We're like having Groundhog Day. It's driving me nuts. If I keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and my dad goes, you know what? I don't want to talk to you right now because we're talking about this again and it's ruining my day. You know what I mean? You have to think about that. I'm not perfect. I'm a culprit, right? I've made mistakes. I've done things that I didn't need to do. I didn't need to say. And I listen and I hear people. And I've realized that I can't control. There are people that I have loved and would do anything for that just pulled themselves out of my life. And the only way back in is if I apologize for the hate that they put into my life. And I'm not going to apologize for other people's sins. I have my own mistakes. I have my own sins. I'm not perfect. And I'm not going to God and saying, hey, God, I swore today, plus I want to take on the sins of everybody else and everyone that slapped me in the face. And it's not healthy. Because if you apologize for someone slapping you in the face, they're going to keep slapping you in the face because they know they're never going to have to apologize. You're going to take care of it. And we don't want to believe that our parents and our grandparents and our brothers and our sisters and our girlfriends and our boyfriends and our neighbors are capable of that stuff, but it happens. And they might not want to hurt you. It might be something deeply rooted inside of them, but you can't control what they say or do. The only thing that you can do in your life is have composure and control of what you say and do, and to make decisions that are healthy for you. Guilt ran my life most of my life. I accepted negative treatment and poor behavior from people in my life because I was programmed as a child that I had to. That if I kicked someone out of my life for hurting me, I should feel guilty, I should feel evil, I should feel bad, I should have fixed it. And the older I got, I was like, this person is just consistently putting toxicity into my life. They're literally just putting poison in the water every day. Why do I want to be around you? And I don't want to walk up to that person and go, I don't like you. I don't want to be around you. You're awful toward me. I don't want to say that to them because I don't want to hurt their feelings. But my silence is my response. What do they say in Bambi? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I've had people in my family that have treated me so poorly over such a long period of time, and it hurt so deeply. And I got yelled at for talking about it. I got yelled at for talking about how much it hurt me. Because people don't understand. My heart doesn't want to hate. My heart wants to love. When you are mean to me, when you say mean things, when you do mean things, inside of me, I'm like, I want to change their heart. I want to show them the light. And I want them to be light. When someone's rude to me, stranger or known, I'm like, what can I do to take that rudeness out of them so that we can be friends, so that we can be close? I don't want to leave anybody in a bad state. I want everybody to feel good. Not like I want everybody to like me like I got an ego. I'm like, I want to be on good terms with everybody, because why be on bad terms with anybody? We should all be nice to each other. That's how I grew up. That's what I believe God, taught me, is like, be the same to everyone. Treat a stranger on a street corner the same way you would treat your mother. Treat them with love and respect and dignity and kindness. And we don't always get that back. And it's been one of the toughest lessons of my life, is for someone to view me as evil, that I've done nothing to, that I've said nothing to. Because if I did, my conscience is massive, and I'd be like, hey, I'm sorry about this, I'm sorry about that. But I haven't done anything to hurt you. I've never wanted to hurt you. I've never tried to hurt you. And all you've done is hurt me over and over and over and over and over again. And then you want to know why we're not friends, why we can't hang out. Because you're toxic to me. And every time you come around me, I think about who you are. And I think about the fact that you don't apologize for it. You don't care about it. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't faze you. And it makes me sick that a person like you can exist in this world and not feel bad for the wrath that you put on people. That you can flip a switch, become such a mean person, and you just don't care. And I've gone to people I love about it, and I've been like, why is this person like this? And they yell at me, why do you care? It bothers you. Look at you talking about it bothering you. And I'm like, why are you shaming somebody? Somebody comes to you and says they're hurt by something, and you slapping them in the face and saying, wisen up, get over it, who cares? And it's like, because I don't know how someone can go to church and put their hands together for Jesus and get that host and say, peace be with you, and then treat their blood like scum. But I don't live in that person's brain. I don't have that person's heart. So where my peace comes from is knowing if I've done the best I can and I'm as kind as I can be, and on the off chance that I have to be around that person, I give them a hug, I say hello, I'm kind, or I just don't say anything at all because I don't feel like anything out of my mouth is going to be nice. See, I wasn't made to be the person that's silent and distant and mean and cold and ignoring. That's not how I was made. But when people around you are hateful, you're like, what do I do? You know what I mean? What do I do? Because Jesus would show them love. And if I show this person love, they're going to think that I accepted everything that they did to me, because they interpret me being kind as, oh, he totally forgave me for all this hate and all this evil and all this nasty. And yeah, I forgave you, but I didn't forget. And I just feel like sometimes the people that we love the most, or we want to love the most, don't see how much they're hurting us. And that's tough, because some of us don't want to give up on our husbands and wives. Some of us have gone to bed back to back with you, and we reach over every night to hold your hand, and we did it 81 times, but inside of our heart, we're like, hey, Jesus would do it 82, I'm going to do it 82. But there's a certain point where I think, you can't be sitting here saying, well, Jesus would keep reaching out. Jesus also wouldn't want you to be in a place where you are not loved and you're not appreciated and you're not respected. People do that all the time. The people that don't believe in God, they throw God in your face. Well, what would Jesus do, Dan? Jesus would forgive me for slapping you, for hitting you, for calling you names, for being mean to you. Jesus would, and it's like a scapegoat thing. It's like, if you really believed in Jesus, you would let me abuse you every day of your life until you die, because Jesus got abused and he took it. And it's like, Jesus didn't ask for it. You think Jesus wanted that? Jesus did what God asked him to do, and I will do what God asked me to do. And if it means I have to walk a treacherous path with bear traps and stones, I'm going to walk that treacherous path with bear traps and stones, and I'm going to do my best to avoid those bear traps and stones, but I will walk for God. God didn't ask me to walk for my aunt or my uncle or a stranger. God didn't say walk on the path of stones and bear traps for people. He said do it for me. And that's where people get things confused. God didn't say, I love you all, so take each other's abuse and wrath. He said, forgive people, for they know not what they do. Forgive people for their words and their actions. And he also said, treat people the way that you want to be treated, so shame on them that are treating you that way. It's not shame on you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. When people are evil toward me, I do one of two things. I say nothing, or I try to be nice. I might call up my best friend and be like, hey, I cannot believe this person did this to me, and this is everything I was thinking that I wanted to say, but I didn't say it because it would be hurtful. So we might joke about it, we might laugh about it, but I don't want to hurt somebody. Because you ever think about that? Like someone's just been mean. Like somebody you go to work every day, they're just mean. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to tell Harold I've had enough, and I'm just going to let him have it. And then something inside you, the words go to come up, and they get caught in your throat. And to me, that's God going, as much as you want to say this and get even with Harold, what good will it do my world and my creation for you to become Harold? And that's what keeps me humble. And that's what keeps me focused. Is I asked my dad yesterday. I said, you know how I was treated at this one place and how I've continuously been treated at this one place. Good morning to Jermaine. And he was like, yeah. I said, if you were me, what would you do? He said, at this point, I would have gotten in somebody's face. He said, at this point, I just would have gotten in somebody's face by now. And to me, the moments where I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell this person off. I thought to myself, what good is that going to get me? I'm going to smirk for a moment and be like, I gave them the medicine that they gave me. Or not the medicine, the toxic, right? I gave them the toxic. But why do I want to give somebody the toxic? You know what I mean? And there's something that you need to know that you may not see, but I'm telling you it happens. And that is that the people that treat you poorly and you can't understand why. You're like, man, I'm nice to this person. Every chance I've had to tell this person off, I don't say anything to this person. I'm trying to be good. Why are they so mean? 99.9% of the time, you find out that that person treats somebody else just like they treat you, if not worse. Because the reality of it all is if you can't figure out why someone's being mean and hateful towards you and you've racked your brain and you've combed through and you've been like, what did I say? What did I do? But they just don't like you. You spend so much time trying to figure out why people don't like you, especially in today's world of social media. You spend so much time trying to figure out why does somebody not like me? When in actuality, 99.9% of the time, they don't like themselves. And you're just collateral damage. You're in the proximity of the landmine. They set up landmines for themselves every day, walk every day and blow themselves up, and you just get hit by the debris. That's all it is. That's all it is. When people are mean, and they stay mean, and they're always mean, and sometimes they're nice, but you'd be shocked. When you're around people and they're nice and it shocks you, don't be around those people. Well, Dan, I have to be. It's my boss. It's this, it's that. Well, if you love your job and you love what you do, I guess in those moments, just be the best you can and keep it moving. Not everybody's going to be nice. Not everybody's going to be kind. Not everyone's going to care about your feelings. It takes a special person to yell at you when you have COVID. But was I surprised that person yelled at me? No. That person laughed in my face, ridiculed me, treated me with disrespect, and openly admitted that they make fun of me, as a grown person old enough to be my father, told me, I make fun of you and I love it. Like, I enjoy making fun of you. Okay. Did it make you feel some type of way that you just told me that? That you got that sad of a life? That you pick on nice people that you don't know? And you've been around me for over 10 years and you can't tell me 5 things about me? Personally, you might tell me like what I do for work and certain stuff like that, but you can't tell me who I am. And you act like you're my den mother. Like you have a right to tell me where I'm supposed to be and when I'm supposed to be there. But there ain't nothing in the verbiage that says I got to follow any of these rules that you made up in your mind. You just want to yell at somebody and you like yelling at me. Now, I don't know if he's yelling at 12 other people, but he's yelling at me and I don't respect it and I don't appreciate it. Now, could I walk up to that person and go, hey, you got to be a small man to have these comments, to have these words. You got to be a pretty sad human being that probably desperately needs therapy to be picking on somebody the way that you do. But if I say that and it hurts them, guess what? Now I'm hurt. If that person walks away and now I'm the bully, now I'm hurt. Some people don't care about that. Hey, somebody bullied me for so many times, so many years, I'm going to bully them back. I'm going to be the overlord now. I'm going to take over. They had me, now I'm going to get them. I don't want subjects. I don't want peasants. I don't want people worshiping me, and I don't want people afraid of me. I am here to show God my love and show the world who God is. I cannot show the world who God is if when people are evil, I'm evil back. But one of the hardest lessons to learn in life is when you love somebody so deeply and you care about them so much and they just keep hurting you, that you have to step back and you have to let that echo to them. Sometimes somebody screams at you, they yell at you, and then instead of yelling back, you just stay silent. And then you hope that their words that they said to you just echo and bounce off the walls and just keep hitting them until they hear it and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Sometimes the only thing we can do with what we can't control is step away from it. And it's hard. But I have endured way too much stress from people that put things on me that I did not deserve. So if you're watching and you're listening to this today and you've been hurting people and you've been putting things on their shoulders, stop doing that, because you're going to lose those people. And even if they're still around, they're not going to see you the same. You know? A little girl might love her daddy, right? She looks up to him. He is perfect. But the older she gets, the meaner he gets, and the meaner he gets. And he's not mean to her. He's just mean. He just takes the world out on her. Everything that bothers him, he just puts it on her shoulders. He makes her feel that guilt. That girl might never come home again. Not because she don't love her daddy, but because she thinks her daddy don't love her. Or she knows he loves her, but she don't feel good when she's around him. The kindest, nicest, even Jesus had enough, right? He went into the church, right? Jesus went into the temple, knocked over all that stuff. Jesus had enough sometimes. He had enough sometimes. And to me, shame on the people that come up to the people that believe in God and say, if you believe in God, you will take my abuse, because God takes everybody's abuse. It don't say that in the Bible. It doesn't say, I forgive your sins, so keep giving them to me. When God forgives you of your sins, stop doing them. Don't put new ones in their place. God doesn't say, bring me your sinners, your hateful people, you're evil. Sit with me. He said, bring me you're tired, you're poor. The people that have had enough. Not the people that want to keep giving more. hate and negativity. There's nowhere in the Bible that I know of where God says, I want all of the evil, sinful, hateful, nasty people to keep being hateful and sinful and nasty. And all my good people, I want you to keep gobbling it up, drinking that poison every single day. There is nowhere that I remember Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit saying any of that. God said you can be forgiven if you ask for it. But where in the Bible does God say, take abuse, negativity, hate, rage, sinfulness, and just keep eating it up? There ain't nowhere that I know. So we cannot control the world. We cannot control what the world says. We cannot control what the world does. But you have every right to your peace, to the peace of those around you. You have every right to calmly, professionally, and with courtesy say, you know what? I don't like the way you treat me. And I don't appreciate it, and I don't respect it. But I am not going to let you ruin my day. And I am around you because I have to be. But the moment that I don't have to be, I'm not here. You see me because you are in a place that I am in doing my thing. The only reason why you are in a room with me is not because I want you to be. It's because we are both trying to do something. But when I have the opportunity to put people in a room with me that I want with me, you will not get an invitation. Not because I am ungodly, not because I am evil, but because I do not want poison living in my doorsteps, sleeping in my bed. And that is a thing that people always put with God. They always put with God. When people are sinful and they're hurtful towards you, they always throw that in your face. Jesus ate with sinners. Yeah, we're all sinners. Jesus didn't sit at the table and say, keep sinning. Go back home today, disrespect all those people that love you like crazy, and just keep pushing them until they can't be around you no more. I don't remember Jesus saying, hey, all my tax collectors, all these people, all these negative, bad people doing bad things out here, keep doing it. I've never heard Jesus say keep doing it. It is one of the hardest things in my life to say I can't have this person in it anymore. But I realize something. When you ask somebody to stop and they don't, it is not you that is cutting them off. It is they who cut the cord. And if they fall, it is because they've chosen to, not because you push them. So please, people, don't let evil and guilt merge together. When someone is hurting you and you tell them so and they keep doing it, and you say, you know what? I'm only going to deal with you if I got to. I ain't going to put you around me. I ain't going to put you around my kids. You don't have to feel bad or ungodly by saying, this is not healthy for me. This is not good for me. I pray for everybody that does bad things in this world to stop. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go do those things with them, and it doesn't mean I want to be there when it happens. I pray for them to stop. I will be there for you. I will pray for anybody that I have. I prayed for people that people have said to me, why would you pray for somebody like that? Look at all the bad that they did in this world. I said, because I'm praying for God to come back into their life. I'm praying for them to open themselves to God. I'm praying for them to change for the better. I don't want to see any soul not be at God's table at the end. I don't want to see anybody missing. When God had 99, he went and looked for that one sheep, did he not? When God has so many believers, he goes and looks for the one that went astray, does he not? He doesn't say to that one, keep going astray. He tries to find you, tries to bring you back. If you look God in the eye, say, I'm coming back. God, even the Lord, gave us the free will to look him in the eye and say, we're not going to be good people. We're not going to do good things. We ain't coming with you. He gave us that free will, as much as it would hurt him to hear you say that. So when people say you're not being like God, when you go and leave the 99 to try and help that one, if God went to get that sheep and the sheep said, I'm not coming with you, where did God say you got to grab that sheep, tie something around him and pull him your way? God said, I will come find you. God said, I will be with you. God said, I will forgive you. But God didn't say, I will make you follow me. So the next time somebody hurts you and says, what would Jesus do? Say Jesus would come here and have the conversation I'm having. But just like Jesus wouldn't put a leash around your neck and pull you, I ain't going to do it either. What Jesus would do is forgive you and give you a chance. But Jesus isn't going to make you be here. And I won't either. It's one of the hardest lessons to learn in life, is that you cannot control. And no matter how much you love and you care about something, you can't make it love you and you can't make it treat you right. And sometimes you have to step away. When you try to be that light to that flower, you try to be the sunshine, you try to be that rain to that flower, you try to give it all its nutrients. And every time you give that flower something and it grows and it looks beautiful, it looks at you and says, you ain't done anything for me. I did this all by myself. You're not the light, you're the darkness. You're not the rain, you're the drought. Okay, so then you take the sunshine and the rain away, and what did that flower do? Runs over to you. Hey, I'm dying over here. I need some more. Don't allow yourself to be used and abused by someone just because you follow a God that is willing to forgive. You can forgive, but God never told you to be an endless supply to abuse. God never asked you to have stress and anxiety and pain in your life. It comes with the territory. And I'm not God, but I would venture to say that God wouldn't tell you, hey, when you're around that person and you get physically ill and you get acid in your throat and you get sick to your stomach and you get headaches, I want you to spend as much time with that person as possible because you have a finite time on this planet, and I want you to live the rest of your life praying to die because you can't take the pain anymore. I don't think God would ask for that. And I think those of us that love, we're always going to love, but sometimes we have to love from afar because the other person always wants to hurt you. It's so sad, but it's like, I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer. All I can do is I can try and I can love, and I can tell you every time that somebody did me dirty, I wanted to say it back, and I had my words ready, and I was ready to bop, 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 and go 10 rounds, and then something inside of me was like, this is going to make me happy. It's going to make my ego happy. But is it going to make God happy if I smack this person back after they smack me? Is God going to be proud of me for putting this person in their place? And I don't want to play God. So I think the best thing that you could do when somebody keeps hurting you and putting you down that you really care about is to just say, hey, if you keep doing this, I'm not going to be around until you change. And if they never change, that's their decision. If they decide to treat you better, that's their decision. But I think you have every right to say, I love you, but I love myself too. And I think self-love is considered selfishness sometimes, and that's not fair. So the best thing I can tell you about today's topic of lead, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero, of what we cannot control, is that everything in life we can't control except for ourselves. Our words and our actions. That's the only thing we can control. Sorry to break the news to you, but those of you that have lived, you know that that's all that you can control. And just be smart about the things you say and you do. And just because something might temporarily feel really good, to give it back to someone, to hit somebody back with it, that temporary goodness, just ask yourself the question, is it kind, is it good, and will it lead you to heaven? Will taking this bully and bullying them back, will that get you closer to heaven? Or will it just even the score on a planet that we were never meant to be forever? We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9Campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. It is time to announce this week's top dog of the week. Inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios, it is my honor and my privilege every single week to honor a person, a team, an organization, a company, somebody as a positive spotlight in our world. Top dog of the week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. My top dogs of this week proudly goes to the wonderful and incredible people who, in the midst of a tragedy, in the midst of heartache, and in the midst of all of this difficult moment and sad time, the people that went into the water, which I'm sure was freezing in DC, and went on a rescue mission to try and find anyone who had lived beyond the crash that happened right by Reagan National Airport. Those first responders, the people that don't know what they're going to see, but they go out anyways. Don't know what's going to happen, but they go out anyways. Those that have been around things that we would never want to see. I can't even imagine what first responders have seen. I can't even imagine what first responders have been through. They never know if the body that they're looking for is going to come up alive or deceased. They don't know what shape things are going to be in. They go towards something that is terrifying to most of us. First responders respond first, whether it's good news, tough news, whether it is they're alive or sadly they've passed away. A first responder sees things in this world that, God willing, we will never have to look at and we will never have to see. When a first responder goes out every day, they hug and they kiss their family. They don't know what their day is going to entail. They don't know how that's going to make them feel and how it's going to affect their heart, their mind, their soul, their body. But they go out anyway. When I see those people in the water, I think about how many times have they been thanked for doing that. The people that ran toward the collapsed buildings at 9/11, the people that went toward the rubble, the people like my mother that went to the plane crash in Buffalo, the people that respond to whatever the call is going to be. Maybe they'll be alive, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be badly injured. Maybe they won't. Maybe I'll have to give someone some really tough news. Maybe I won't. First responders live in a world of life and death at any given point in the day. They're human beings. They're just like you and me. They have hearts, they have minds, they have souls, they have bodies. It's not a different race, it's not a different species. And we think about the cleanup of a disaster, the rescue mission of a disaster. And we're always thinking about we're thinking about the families, we're thinking about who is there, we're thinking about this and that. But how many times do we think about the people that most people walk by, take pictures, take video, kneel down, pray? Most people walk around it. Very, very few people get in the water, get in the rubble, go to the site. They run toward the storm. And a lot of times, I got to imagine that they're not even thinking about themselves. They're thinking about you and your family. I don't care if this water's 30 degrees. I don't care if this building's on fire. I don't care if I'm in a situation where we don't know if chemicals are coming out of this thing or what I'm breathing in. I will do everything in my power to go and get somebody else to come home or to find the remains to give someone peace. To the best of my ability, I'm sorry that this person passed away, but I was able to find this for you. It has got to be one of the hardest jobs because what you see is what you see. What my mom saw in Buffalo was so top of the mind to her yesterday. It was like it had just happened. And I'll never forget my mother telling me, I won't forget any of this. But she responded to the call. She ran toward the storm. I'm sure my mom wanted to find somebody that was alive and well and that they could save, not to give her accolades, but because someone could go home. But when nobody made it through that, they all went back to heaven. My mom went there and thought about what she could do. I can't do this, but what can I do? I can't play God, but what can I do? And a first responder to me, when they are doing things with goodness in their heart, pure intentions, they are the closest thing to God. Because they're the ones that try to save. They try to preserve. Jesus died so that we may live. And these people that run toward the storm are willing to die if they can save you. Our firefighters, oh, that was just a little fire. It don't matter how big the fire is. That firefighter is willing to die for you. That police officer, and there are a lot of good ones. So stop thinking that they're all bad because the news focuses on the bad. The news always focuses on the bad in a lot of different places, and I wish they would focus on the good. There are police officers that will die for your community. There are police officers in Syracuse that died for us. Not for themselves. If it was all about them, they wouldn't have chased that kid. If it was all about them, they wouldn't have said something don't feel right. We need to go figure that out. They would have been like, that's somebody else's problem. If he shoots people, it's not me. I got kids. I got to go home. They died to protect our community. So Central and Upstate New York, we know we got good cops. Because 2 of them died doing the right thing. Trying to help. The EMTs, when I got hit by the drunk driver and I could have been paralyzed and or died, they ran toward the storm. And they were there for me. No matter how long it took, they were there. So, my top dogs of the week are the people that got in the water of this plane crash. They're the people that went to the site, that talked to the families, that did their public addresses, that spoke to the communities, that are retrieving the black boxes, that are going through the information, that are combing everything with a fine-tooth comb to find answers. Those are my top dogs of the week. The people that even in a tragedy can focus and can seek some type of positive result, some type of resolution. The people in a chaotic, unfathomable situation can try and bring peace and sustainability and find answers. They are human beings like you and me. Yet they live in such a superhuman way that in the heart of disaster, they can try tirelessly and work until they find peace, resolution, answer, and a way to be better next time. I commend our first responders. And I thank God and I ask God to bless them and all that come to be. May we not have the disasters. And if we do, may we always have those that are willing to run toward the storm to help us to sleep tonight. Top dogs of the week. Lily barking loud for them. And I second that. Proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. I do want to get into one final piece here, and that's Syracuse football. I wanted to talk about the East West Shrine Bowl, pardon me. And unfortunately, we didn't see a lot of Syracuse out there. And that, to me, was frustrating. We didn't see a lot of Syracuse. I was like, man, I can't wait. See some Kyle McCord, see some Arande Gadsden. I'm like, I'm a fan. I'm like, I want to see these guys go to the NFL. I want to see them go out there, do awesome things. They get to play with people from all over the country. This is so great. This is so cool. Jackson Meeks was out there. So what can I tell you about these guys? Let's run it down the line real quick. Kyle McCord should make an NFL roster. Going off the words of Joe Theismann, there's 64 quarterbacks at least in the NFL. 32 teams with a starter. Every starter's got at least one backup. Do I think that he could fit into those 64? I do. I think with a good line, with time, that guy can pick apart a defense, and he does a good job. He can run when he needs to. He's not a running quarterback. But I will say this about Kyle McCord. That man is a cold-blooded killer on the field. And a team, it would behoove you to take him. Arande Gadsden, I like to see a little bit more. I like to see what he looks like. Do they want him as a hybrid? Do they want him as a wide receiver? They didn't do a lot of Statue of Liberty plays to him in his career. Let him go up and get it. So I want to see that. But that man was a nightmare to cover sometimes. But in times when the team was one-dimensional and he was their only receiver, he was their guy that the quarterback was keying in on, he'd get lost in the shuffle. They'd shut him down. I want to see how he shows us that if he's on an offense where there's not a lot of weapons and it's got to be him, that he's not going to get shut down. What has he done with his footwork, with his speed, with his turn, with his ability and his agility? What has he done to show us that he can be the guy, they can key in on him, and he's still going to be a threat? Because Kelsey, dude catches the ball, doesn't matter who's there. Dalton Kincaid, Mark Andrews. There's a lot of guys that at that tight end position that you could double team them, triple team them. They're still going to make incredible plays. So, and Arande working on his hands. Jackson Meeks, but I'm excited. He's got the height. I just want to see him work on his hands and some other things. Jackson Meeks, we know dude can ball out. We know guys, he can lay out for a ball, go out and get it. I think he's going to find his way onto a roster because they're going to carry 4, 5, 6 receivers. And I think Jackson Meeks can show you. I want to see what his speed looks like. I want to see, different things that he could do, different routes that he can run. But I'm excited to see what he can do because I know that dude can make plays. And I know Arande can make plays. I'm just saying Arande was helped by having guys like Jackson. But without guys like Jackson, sometimes Arande kind of drifted away. And we didn't even at times know, was this guy on the field? And I want Arande to take over a game, essentially. It's all constructive because I want to see them all do well. So don't think I'm talking bad about Arande. Arande's made some plays. I'm just a little bit concerned about the hands and a little bit concerned about a team that's one-dimensional that's playing through him. So Jackson Meeks, I think he'll find himself a home. And then Elijah Clark. Elijah Clark did some good things. He's got some fire to him, got some excitement to him. You got a defense where there's 5 in the back line, so that's better. Could he play on a team that has one less DB? You know, can he play on a team where there's going to be more asked of him, more field that's asked of him? No rover, no star guy to kind of run around and be that guy that's helping out the safeties and the corners and have that extra guy in the field to kind of zone and take a piece of that field away. So it'd be nice to see what Elijah Clark can do with that and how he can affect a game in those situations. And that's something to be left to be seen that I'm excited to see is if he's in a different scheme in a different place, how does he respond? So I'm excited to see that. And Fadil Diggs, dude was fiery against the quarterback, got after the quarterback. People were hyped about him, excited about him. He's one of them dudes that lived up to the hype. Coming from Texas A&M, coming from the SEC, he did a good job. And I'm excited to see what he could do. So, Fadil, looking forward to that too. I hope every single one of those gentlemen gets drafted. I hope they all get an opportunity. Josh Alawa, center, who wasn't in the East-West Shrine, I hope he gets drafted as well. I want to see all these guys eat. Because who are we in this world if we don't hope the best for other people? We'll take a step aside and we'll wrap up the show right after this. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York, to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. And in a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks comes to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Find them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5 for a place that truly lets a kid be a kid and lets an adult be a big kid. And places like that are truly special, the ones that speak to your spirit. I got to thank Josh and Anthony for doing what they've done to create such a place in our community. I had a place growing up as a kid, and unfortunately, it's not here anymore. And I thought to myself, all right, I'm going to keep looking for that place, and maybe someday I'll have one. Hopefully, I'll have one in my hometown. Always in the back of my head, I'm like, I want a sports card shop that, I could just go to, and it feels like home. And then my dad, a couple Father's Days ago, we go antiquing, and he brought me to Gideon's Gallery, and right that going into Gideon's Gallery is GG Cards and Breaks. And we walked in there. My dad brought me in. He didn't say a word. He went off and looked at the antiques and left me with the sports cards like he had led me somewhere that he knew once I got him here, he knows what to do. And I just had an amazing time. So shout out to GG Cards and Breaks and all the work that they do. Head there today. Let them know that DT sent you for Disney, Lorcana, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, hockey, soccer, basketball, football, baseball, so many different things, packs, boxes, singles, graded cards, and all the supplies that you need to protect your cards and to showcase them at home or if you're going to an event. GG Cards and Breaks is like no other, and that's why they're our proud partner. And here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, find GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning into today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thanks to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week. Chick-fil-A Cicero for lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Our top dogs of the week honoring first responders, not just from everything that happened, unfortunately, this week at Reagan National Airport, but in general, those that run toward the storm and have families but care about you and your family enough to put their lives on the line to make sure that hopefully they could do something to help you and your family. Thanks to them, our top dogs of the week, proudly presented by K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding, and talking a little Cuse football with you as well. With that being said, thanks for being here with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. And of course, we go into the archives after that. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, and more. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Subscribe and follow for free, and you'll be with us wherever you are, all around the world. Big time thanks. Speaking of all around the world, happy to have our wonderful partner in North Carolina, the Brewerton Pickle on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Appreciate them so very much, right by Pinehurst Golf Course. So go and visit Brewerton Pickle, a central and upstate New York staple that's found its way down to the state that's first in flight. So get yourself to the wonderful Brewerton Pickle in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And of course, a wonderful thank you to our incredible team of partners in Central and Upstate New York: Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards or Breaks, Ma and Pa's, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Pizza Man, Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, Brian's Landing, as well as Servomation, reinventing, reimagining, and reinvigorating the world of vending for your arenas, your stadiums, your schools, your universities, and all places that would have vending, your rest stops as well. Find out more at servomation.com. I wish that this was around when I was a kid. I'm happy that it's around right now. And we're proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of the Lemoyne College Dolphins, the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, and the Binghamton University Bearcats. Find them all on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find each of their playlists, Lemoyne's playlist, as well as BSC Syracuse and Binghamton. They're all on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, including schedules of games and events that you can go and support, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, Syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and BinghamtonBearcats.com. For now, from Wake Up Call, on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. I bid you adieu, and I say to you, as always, here on the show from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, God bless, no stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon. Stay safe.